manifesting through the pain. I reach for you like a fading ghost, like a vapor of smoke. You look back but didn't see me. One day you'll notice something missing, and you'll turn to look for me, and I'll be gone. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. I'm manifesting through the pain, like a whisper lost in the rain. In the night I'd fading like a ghost train. You have only yourself to blame. An empty carriage, a carnival of pain, with ghosts standing in the rain. My memory, your pain. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. I'm manifesting through the pain. In darkness you'll scream my name, but no one will hear. It's just you and your fear. I'll never be near. You'll imagine me, my hands touching, my ghost dancing. Looking into my eyes, you'll see all your lies. You'll remember all the tears I cried. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me.
There's no place for old men, a breed going extinct, as the youth coddles each other, and love appears to be in the air. Breeze singing and trees living, a time of generations dying. The sea is full, yet so many are falling. Many born to die in neglect, with their unaging intellect. Two ages to be forgotten, the world is promised to the young. I will travel to eternity where age cannot go. I shall transcend this life so bold. How age makes a man invisible. He wanders alone, tattered as his clothes. Forgotten soul finds song in his heart. Monuments of magnificence the seas have taken me to. Byzantium. Two ages to be forgotten. The world is promised cannot go, and I shall transcend this life so bold. Once free from this body, I'll never come back again. Not to this place I'll be where goldsmiths work. To entertain the lords and ladies of Byzantium, it matters not what is the past, or what is passing, or is to come. To ages to be forgotten, the world is promised to the young. I will travel to eternity where age cannot go, and I shall transcend this life so bold.
Oh, welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. Oh, man. All right. How many people remember this? You remember this? You remember him? How many people remember his name? Remember this guy from Bloodsport? I don't know if anybody remembers that. Whoever can remember his name first, you're the first giveaway person. Let's see if you remember. Not it. You can look up his name. I'm talking about his character. Somebody can say it quickly. Bloodsport. We know that. We know that. Binky Stall says Bloodsport. Yeah, but what was his name in the movie though? Right? Anybody remember? Nobody? Nobody's gonna tell me. Brick not hit back. Yeah. Bolo Yang was his name, but what was his name in the movie though? That's what I've been trying to get here. Well, I guess nobody's gonna tell me. I guess that's it, huh? We'll just leave it there. Nobody wins. Way to go, guys! What a way to start the show. Everybody's just saying his real name. I'm saying, like, what was his name in the movie? Because you remember him. He was one of the bad guys in the movie. Mm-hmm. They always played bad guys. He's still alive. He's 80 years old. It's crazy. It's crazy. He's still alive. Mm-hmm. Got to get some people. Let people get in here tonight. Mm. There we go. So they're trying to find a show. It's like they're trying to make it harder and harder. Mm-hmm. Oh. Nobody knows his name. Chong Li. They call him Chong Li. It's funny because that's the same name as the female character from Street Fighter. I always thought that was weird. I'm like, they named because Bloodsport was before Street Fighter came out, right? What year did Bloodsport even come out? I don't even know. I can't even tell you.
thought it was 88.
Was it 88?
1988. Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
that means that, well, I don't know, when did Street Fighter 2 would be? Street Fighter 2 was when Chong Li was that. Chun-Li.
We
She's
did have some
Chun-Li.
people say his name though.
They said Chong Li.
I don't know. I don't know who was the first. Let me see.
Yeah. There wasn't anybody that said it when I was trying to.
1991.
So 1991, she said Chun-Li, but this is Chong Li, right? It's weird because I have dual memories of that. I remember him being named something else, but I can't remember what it was. But I
Somebody
don't
said
remember.
Tong Li.
Tong Li, yeah, but it was Chong Li.
I think Paul Petro was the first one to say Chong Li.
How far back was that? Because I didn't see anybody say it when I finally just said, okay, forget it. Nobody said, because they kept saying his real name, Bo Yang. Bo Yang's 79 years old. That's freaking crazy, man. The guy's been around forever. I'm in a good mood though, you know, and by all rights, I probably shouldn't be. I received some really bad news today, business wise, and I don't know. I don't know where the future of my business is going to be, but if things don't pick up or turn around, and things don't change, then I'm afraid we may have to change how we do things here. I may have to be working more, possibly, because the business that we built, we need your prayers. Financially, we are hurting. We're doing not good financially, and you can only just keep selling your investments, you know, to keep yourself going. You can only do so much. You only have so much gold and silver, and then it's just you have to say, okay, I can't do this anymore. And so our insurance has gone up exponentially, and it is ludicrous. It is not going in time with inflation, and it's nothing but greed at this point. They are just gouging everybody with greed. And so here we are. You know, I just don't. And the thing is, somebody said Turner Media, yeah, a page out of Merkel's playbook. Tony's a good friend of mine. I remember when he went full time or whatever. But his situation is different. He doesn't have a lot of the debt and bills that we have from our businesses and our, you know, I'm not saying a lot of debt, but we have a lot to pay for. We have a lot to deal with. We have a fleet of vehicles. We have a lot of, well, I don't know what we're going to do, because my end of the company has been hurting too. It was divided into two parts, and my business partner's end has been struggling for about 3 years, and now this past 6 months, I guess, it's my side is starting to fall, because and in business, and I'm telling you this because there's just 200 people in there. This is just something we could talk about in the random files, is how business works. If you have a business partner and they fail, you fail too, or you prop them up. And when you prop them up, you can only prop them up for so long, and then eventually you start to collapse under the weight of that. And that's kind of what's happening now. Yeah. So, and in particular, the last year has not been kind to our business. And you have a ton of new companies coming in, and they are very cutthroat. They will do a job. They will bid on a job for the wage of what we're paying our people, which is crazy. So like you have to go to your people and tell them, hey, in order for me to turn a profit, I have to lower your rate of pay. Nobody's going to go for that. Your veterans aren't going to go, yeah, okay, you can take $2 or $3 off so you can pay your taxes and your insurance and your whatever. Nobody's going to go for that. So you lose a lot of your good people, and you have to hire new people that will come in at a lower wage. And so these new companies, they're so crappy that they're willing to do it for, you know, a bag of Cheetos and a pickle, you know, and a few bucks. And so that's really hurting us. And we are an old established company America, the company that we run has been around for a long time. So like 22 years, you know, because he was in business. I had my own business, my own company. He had his company, and then we merged. And he had the bigger, older name, so we went with his. First, he bought me out, and then I was bored, and I said, well, "What am I going to do?" So we bought back in, and then we did something else, and then we did something else, and, you know. So that's where we're at. You know, it's like it's just one of these, you know, things where, you know, and I thought things would be smooth and we could transition, but I have to assume I have to take over this person's debt. You know what I mean? Like if you have a company and they're done, they're struggled, they're throwing in the towel, you have to assume their debt or go under. So what will happen, because the show doesn't make enough money to support us, I'd have to get another job and probably going to have to cut down on the show quite a bit so I can focus on doing another job. And most people would be like, well, you know, it's what do you do when you're 50 years old and you have to start over? Well, for me, I'm just going to start over. Most people would be like, I'm 50 years old. What do I do? Well, if you think like you're 50 years old and you're stuck, then you're stuck. I'm not in bad health. I mean, you know, I've had my problems with different things, but I can go do something. I can go, you know, whatever. But I'm going to have to figure it out. So just when that happens, just to give you an FYI, it is possible that we may have to cut back on the show, and that's a shame because we had a lot of momentum and things were really going well. But just giving you the heads up, this could happen, and it could happen within a month or so. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Shame, but it's really hard. And then, you know, was trying to write this book, and bless you,
Sorry.
everything in the world has popped up against us. It's like something or some things.
Don't want it coming out.
Yeah, there is definitely an intelligence behind this. There's some sort of manipulation that is happening to us. I can't put my finger on exactly what it is, but I mean, you know, I it's hiding, but I know it's there. There's a hidden underlying thing there that's attacking us, and I got to find it. I got to root it out because it's destroying our businesses, our lives, everything. So if you could just please pray, because this, you know, I know there's people aligned against us who've been just trying to destroy us. Thank you, Salem Nemesis. Says that you and Julie both said that. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, Law Morgan, Law, thank you for that donation. He said something interesting about how the targeting of these old world buildings, that this is happening right now in this war. That's true. That is absolutely true. They're hitting buildings and sites in Iran that are not military. They're wiping out like old vestiges of things. I think they wanted to do this for quite some time. Do y'all remember when I said, and I said this, that they want something in Iran? You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
They wanted something in Iraq. A lot of people named it. They said it was the tomb of Gilgamesh. I'm wondering what they're looking for. Could it be the tomb of Rostam? A lot of people don't know what Rostam is, but I do, because I have a few friends that are Persian. My friend Arash is half, and his dad always called me Rostam. Rostam was like Hercules.
He's
I'm
like
not
Persian
Hercules, but you know, he always called me that. So if they find these tombs, a lot of these beings, they didn't decay and die the way we would. Their bodies don't decay like ours.
Yeah, they go into like a stasis or something.
And it is weird too, because there are people that will go to these tombs, and we'll talk about this on the show eventually, and they have attested that this is the truth. I have a guy who literally told me this is like a crazy story. And he's telling me that the tomb is deep in Iran. And they laid him to rest with his horse. And that these two beings in particular give off an energy signal. And some people that go to this tomb, the people that guard it, whatever, they have to wear protective clothing because it gives off a radiation signal. But it's unlike a normal radiation signal. That's the same thing with Gilgamesh. That's the same thing with all of these beings. That's a weird thing. A weird thing. I mean, I'm telling you, this is what has been said many times. It's been said this information is being suppressed, and when you talk about it, everybody's like, "Oh, what were they doing in Germany?" In Germany, there was a king known as Barbarossa, and some people attribute to him to being like of an ancient bloodline, and supposedly these were immortals. I mean, he was supposedly really, really old. He wasn't, he was a king when he served his time, and then, that was not his time. Like he had already been around for like a while. And these are from antediluvian, Dwarpa Yuga, whatever you want to call it, the pre-flood times. And these are the last vestiges of Tartaria, and they are destroying these places. And these people weren't all bad. Like, they're like, oh, those were the Nephilim. Well, there were Nephilim. These aren't Nephilim. This isn't what I'm talking about. These are descendants, direct descendants of the fallen, right? But they weren't all evil because God allowed some of them to live. Because you remember when Joshua and Caleb went into the land of Goshen. You remember this? And the Bible, and they said, "Oh, we're like grasshoppers to these dudes. We're tiny. These are giants. If the flood was meant to kill them all, it would have killed them all." But it was different. So whenever you go back and you look at this bloodline of Barbarossa, and it was also the name of the military invasion of the Soviet Union. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to do a show where we're going to talk about it, and it's going to go from the YouTube random files to the Rumble random files to our channel. And if you watch Dead Zone transmissions, Nellie's doing things that are, why does this phone keep asking me if I want to take a break? No, dude, I don't want to take a break. What am I doing? His phone's like, you want to take a break? Yeah, you want to take a break? You start talking about something important.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. Woo! You're like getting really close to the truth.
It's running interference.
We got to stop. Slow down. Your eyes are hurting. Do you feel your eyes hurting? And I'm like, no, CIA, I don't feel my eyes are hurting. Yeah, I think your eyes are hurting.
Alphabet police here.
Start blasting the frequencies right now. Hurry up. Do it.
Dude.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
Brakes. I don't put the brakes on your brakes, dude.
Shut it down, Moisha.
Shut it down.
Goim, no.
You're like, you hear some Hebrew talking. What is that? What was that in the background? I don't know.
Yeah.
You need to stop, though. You need to stop. Stop. The left and the right need to stop and serve us. Okay. All right. I get it. Yeah. So I'm over here and I'm sitting here talking about this. And so we have this show, Dead Zone Transmissions, and it kind of ties in. It all ties in together. And then we talk about some of these things on True Crime Paranormal. Check out True Crime Paranormal on Saturday. We talk about Samuel Little, and we get into another one of the Goetian demons who, get this, I'm not going to give it away, but he's somebody we've discussed before, and I've had a feeling that he was involved in this. There are certain entities involved in a lot of this, and it'll make a lot of sense when you start listening to all the shows together. They all interconnect. And the, what do we call this? The PRT universe?
Yeah.
Our universe is all connected. These shows, they're all connected. So go back and take a look and listen to what we're talking about, right? I don't know. The PRT multiverse. Yeah. But I'm of the opinion that there is something really weird going on. We are under attack. Like, the other day, if you watch that live, look at me on that live video. I look different than like 4 hours later. I was in the mirror and you could see my ears. On that video, my face is so puffy. I'm like, dude, I looked horrible. Like I had just rolled out of bed and was just You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't even see my ears. I'm just like, oh, I look terrible. I didn't feel terrible, but I look terrible. And then later on, I'm looking at myself and I'm like, why are my ears there now? Why do I look different? What is going on? Do you like go in and out of timelines going into your restroom? I don't know. How do you lose 12 pounds in a day? I literally did that. How do you do that?
Lots of laxatives.
Apparently, like you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, and you go and you like weigh yourself. You're like, I lost 12 pounds since, well, it was the day before yesterday. Since, how does that even happen?
Sleep on the toilet.
I didn't do anything any different. Maybe it was that oatmeal I had. I don't, you know, or maybe they're just messing with shit. I've always had reddish and blonde hair in my beard. And then the other day, I was looking and there was like this huge splotch of red hair that I don't remember having in my beard. And I'm like, what am I looking at myself? What in the hell? What is going on here? Now my hair's growing out. It's getting longer. But there is something weird here, folks. And the reason I started even thinking about that is because a friend of mine, Colby, messaged me and he says, dude, is it possible to change the way you look? And like, come on. I said, yeah, it does. It is. Especially when they're messing with things. And so maybe that's what's, I don't know. Has anybody else been experiencing that or noticed that?
I've noticed before, like my clavicle bone.
Yeah.
Like the
Where
right
it's at?
one. Well, the right one like protrudes now, and it never used to be like that. It's weird.
Yeah. How does that even?
Like I noticed this like probably 2 years ago, and it just started being like that one day.
And before
And I
you
was like,
say,
this is not. I know my body, dude. This doesn't protrude right here.
yeah,
No, I mean I always thought my clavicles protrude because I was always skinny.
Oh,
Well,
crap.
yours never did.
And
But
then
what
remove
I
the chest.
noticed,
It's covering you. Go ahead.
what I noticed was like my sternum right here in the middle, like it pokes out. That always bothered me because like that's never happened before.
mm-hmm.
I used to have like a pretty misshapen chest because I was so skinny. But so like I know what my ribs and my center of my bone looks like right here, or the center of my chest looks like, and it never just stuck out and had like this little bone that just sticks out right here.
So if you start going back and looking at yourself and you're thinking, oh, maybe something's different, something's off. Don't dismiss it and think, because I had this conversation one day with my dad, like that for years he would wonder things like that and never said anything because he didn't want to feel like he was a freaking weirdo. And you know, back in his days when he was young, they'd put you in a freaking facility if you talked about some of this stuff. So they condition people to not say these things and my freaking knee, not talk about these things and not be asking all these questions. Just you know, life is this way and time is this way, and there's nothing else. You know, it's not weird. And now we do all this deep diving, and you're starting to go, yeah, it is weird. Things are not the way that we think they are. They are not the way we want them to be. I don't know what's happening here, but I know that it just, and time is going so fast. I mean, it seems like yesterday it was January. It was the beginning of the year. Now it's already like March. We got 261 in here. Larry Schulte. Probably. I can tell you this. You know, there is a lot more to this world than meets the eye. We've always known that. You know, I think that things are a lot more fluid than we could possibly know. But I have a problem with just blindly believing that everything is just their norm. I don't believe that. And I've wondered about that before. I've felt like there was something that like, I'm not saying this is like we're in a giant experiment because that's already done. And I'll explain. But I think that they have a vested interest now in keeping us here because humans are batteries. They are. And I think that people don't understand that. They don't grasp that concept. When I tell you about the City of Night, and I've talked to people about it now, I've interviewed about half a dozen people who've been there now. That it's taken us a while to get enough people to get the traction because we first discussed it in 2019. So several years later, we have half a dozen people. That's not even one per year. But I've seen people talking about it, and I had somebody that was talking about it in a group, and I messaged them, and they ignored me, and I'm like, well, that's unfortunate because he's sitting there talking about this. I'm like, dude, and so some of this too is serious attacks on me by these numbskulls. What they do is they splatter your reputation so that when somebody sees you, they don't want to talk to you or whatever. And not everybody. Most people are pretty smart, but there are people who aren't. They're not smart. And they just knee-jerk react and go along with whatever these douchebags say about you. And they go, oh, I heard that guy's got a bad reputation. He's a bad guy. Don't talk to him because someone got mad. They got kicked out of a chat. And so they go on a crusade against you. There's no way that someone, like when we read that email the other day, it was Monday. We read the email because he got kicked out of the chat on Sunday. He literally says in the email, he's going to make it his life's mission till his last breath to destroy us, to destroy me. And he's going to go to every podcaster and YouTuber and tell them what a shitheel I am. Like, who does that? Do you think that that is a proper response to being told, hey, man, you're smart enough, get out of my chat? How is that even a thing? Unless there is some sort of intelligence behind this that's saying, look, you're too close to what's happening. We need to get rid of this guy. And that's what I feel like that is what's happening.
Yeah, they work through vessels.
Yeah. And we are on the front lines, fighting these people. And when you look at what's happening in the world right now, one of the things that Law Morgan mentioned about how in Germany, when they bombed some of these places, they attacked old world sites and then they destroyed buildings. The Germany that exists now is totally changed physically, mentally, and spiritually. It's a shadow of its former self. Germany was bombed into oblivion. But one of the things they did to Germany was to destroy old world buildings. Some of those buildings had been there for over 1,000 years. And it was all reduced to rubble. They wanted to get rid of that. And it happened in England too. So they did it to Germany, but Germany bombed London, right? But then they bombed Germany back and they said, okay, we're going to go after civilian targets. And that was the truth. They tried to say that Germany did it first. They said, oh, and then here's why I know they were lying, because on the History Channel, they said a group of German bombers got lost and bombed these buildings, which usually they always like make the Germans like the supreme evil, like they're more evil than the super devil, because they have to maintain that they were the most evil people on the planet, so they have an excuse for taking over their country. Yeah, so what they always say that, but that in that video they didn't say that. They said, oh, these German pilots, they got lost, and they blew up civilian targets. So England retaliated. You would have had me if you would have just said, and if I was not, if I wasn't, like me, if I was a normal person, you would have had me, because I would have been like, the Germans aggressively attacked civilian buildings in their first bombing. Right? And then you would have been like, yeah, those evil Nazis, they were bombing these old buildings in England. But then they gave it all away. They were like, wow, when they lie, they kind of they'll try to pull back a little bit, Well, they got lost. I'm like, you're conceding something to them? Because you never do that. Never. It's always they were the ultimate evil. Camps, everything, all of everything. They are the worst that has ever lived. Even the Khmer Rouge, who killed literally almost a third of their people, almost wiped out the entire country of Cambodia. Yeah, they were kind of bad, but those Nazis, Yeah, there were 65 million Christians that were slaughtered by the Soviet, NKVD Bolsheviks, but those Nazis, they didn't like Jewish people. So and they didn't like gay people. And they always make up all kinds of whatever they did,
Isn't it interesting that the narrative they spun about the Germans bayoneting babies, that it turns out our own government is doing that in the e-files that all came out?
Yeah.
They always accuse you or accuse the
whatever
enemy
it
of
is
what
that
they're
they do.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had this narrative. And so when they said that about the old world buildings, I thought it was crazy. I was like, they actually conceded that the Germans got lost? Because that has been something that they've maintained. But then I remembered the Soviet redacted files, because the Soviets had a supreme spy network. The Soviets had been spying since 1918. Since before since 1960, whatever, before World War I, they got involved, and Germany beat the shit out of them in World War I. They put their guns down and went home. They didn't want to fight anymore. What was crazy, though, was the level of intelligence that they had on the ground going into all these countries. And the Russian spies, the Soviet spies were of all these different people from different countries. They had people on their payroll because nobody's looking at those Soviet redacted documents, those Soviet unredacted documents. I do, and I have. And when you read that, you're going like, damn, dude. They were the ones that said that the Germans, they got lost because they intercepted the radio transmissions. There was a Russian spy in England. And at that time, the reason that they were able to get in and out, because Germany was Russia's ally. And Russia knew way more than they, Stalin, though, was kept in the dark about the invasion. There is a video of Stalin. He's sitting there going like, when they invaded, he was like sitting there just like, oh, with his mouth open, like he couldn't believe it. And the reason he couldn't believe it is because his intelligence network, which was amazing, failed him, which means that they probably wanted that invasion to happen. Maybe one of two reasons. They wanted them to destroy the Soviet Union, maybe, or two, maybe they wanted a reason to get into the war because it could have been a double cross, triple cross. There's a whole thing about it. We could talk about that on the Random Files. We're almost at 300 now. But it's interesting, right? So I do these Operation SEAL. That's where they were going to invade England. And then they called it off and said, we're going to go on to Russia. What the? Why? We're just going to bomb England. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to get lost. And we're going to bomb old buildings. Oh, rats. Did we miss the military targets again? Dude, our Luftwaffe is just nutty, dude. What is going on here?
Better luck next time.
These clouds are clouding.
Oh, fat ass. What's his name? The leader of the Air Force? Goering. He's over there like, I don't know why we're missing the targets. I've been over here eating this pastrami. These Jewish people make some good food.
Oh, I had this map upside down. That's what it was.
For some reason, these Jewish people just keep bringing me these party trays, and we just keep missing the targets. I don't know. Hitler's over there like, what are you doing, Goring? Why are you getting lost? Boss, it's a whole funny thing. I get one of these party trays, and I just forget where the hell we're going.
Paul, you know these things are too good.
But we're going to do, I promise you, we're going to do the same thing to Russia. When we go into Russia, we're going to hit all, the old buildings are going down. If you're an old monolithic structure from the old Europe, your ass is toast.
They don't stand a chance, mein Führer.
And then the Soviets are like, yes, we agree with you, Germans. We're going to fight the war, but the rules of engagement are old buildings, boom, go boom, and blow, destroy. Then we kill for each other. But first, the old buildings go away. Old monolith Europe is gone.
Out with old, in with new.
Out with old, in with new communist structures.
You have to understand, when we're in the air, there's no X on the ground, so it's to let us know where.
Where is the X?
Yeah,
They're over there with their. We got to get a little helmet. And I could do a skit for them. I'm not saying this.
Do we have helmets?
Everything looks strange. There's no X's here. Got to get a fighter helmet,
Yeah.
I don't know. I look at these things and I'm going like, does anybody else not see this? And when Law Morgan said it in my Facebook, this is why I love the paratroopers. Show up in there and talk on my Facebook. Spirited debate. I don't care if you agree with me. Don't agree with me. There's people that are like, oh, you don't like me because I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. I think it's sad. I love you guys. You don't have to agree with me all the time. But think about it. When you start putting all this together, what in the hell is going on? And every time somebody mentions that, they're just like erased. You know what happened in Yugoslavia, which is really crazy? Like during the bombing of Kosovo, this is true. They actually bombed some of those old world buildings, got knocked out in Serbia. When they bombed Serbia, the second day or third day, whatever, this is all in the documents. Like they blew the hell out of these old buildings, and the Serbians were like, "What are you doing? Like, why did you blow up our?" Like that was our district where we had merchants and stuff. Like, was there something there that you wanted? Because in lieu of just killing the shit out of us, we would have just went and knocked it down ourselves if that was the problem. Are they ugly, the buildings? I don't know. This is weird. And here's another weird thing too. Khrushchev, not Stalin, but Khrushchev had actually asked the Serbians in Yugoslavia. This is a true weird thing that's in these documents. He said that he wanted them to like detonate and destroy some of these old buildings to make way for the new Soviet architecture, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? It's almost like there's some kind of conspiracy amongst the leaders to get rid of something, to sweep away the old. That's a weird thing. I don't know. I mean, call me cuckoo, but when I read these things, I notice shit. I'm not asleep like a lot of people. They're over there like, no, not me. But you know what they could do to me to make me really tired? Destroy my businesses and then make me have to go work a 9 to 5 somewhere. Then I'm too tired to do this shit. I'm too tired to read. I'm too tired to whatever, because that's what they're trying to do. You think I'm joking? I promise you this is a concerted effort by someone to destroy us. If I had the capital, I would just go, you know what? Good. I retire, close the doors, and I do this full time. I'm on this all in the airwaves 4 or 5 times a day until my voice goes out, waking people the hell up. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of money in this. That's the problem. Maybe I could liquidate every asset I have and just for a solid year just talk about shit until they kill me. You know how potent that would be if we just dedicated all of our wake instead of part-time doing this? This is part-time. Imagine if we did it full-time. Imagine if it was just every day, all day, just bombarding the airways. How many people would wake the freaking hell up and be like, oh my God, I never thought of these things before. But I appreciate you, Law Morgan. You're a real one. You're going in, and he said that, and I was like, he's right. And I was thinking about that because I've noticed that. And that is a topic for the random files. We'll talk about that. Screw it. Why not? I'll do it tonight. I'll go on the random files after this. After we tell you these crazy stories, I'll go on random files and I'll talk about that. Think I'm playing. Seriously, here we go. So we got 305 people. So let's go. Let's get started. Everybody wants to hear about these gremlins. So these are gremlins. If somebody had told me, years ago that gremlins in the sky existed the way that we, like I would have been like, okay, I've heard of this. I've read about it in Fate magazine. I've seen videos and documentaries where the Russians, the Germans, we were just talking about them, the British, the French, the Americans, they were the Japanese, every Air Force, the Italians, everybody, they had these gremlins. All of the major players who had an Air Force in World War II reported these gremlins doing things. There were even reports of them intercepting transmissions about these beings that were in their aircrafts, in bombers. The Americans had problems with them, and they thought it was something that the Germans were doing until they intercepted transmissions of the Germans complaining about it and saying, no, I don't know what's going on. The Soviets or the Allies, they must be doing something that's causing this. And so there was some sort of weird thing that was happening. These little gremlins, as we call them in Spanish, little monitos duendes. What are they? I don't know. But on this particular ranch, down in Corpus, near Corpus anyway, These beings were these amphibious looking creatures. The weird thing was is that they looked frog-like because their legs, the way that they were described to us, and one of the women that described them to us was named Ivana, and she was like adamant. She was the psychic that came down. I got to speak to her. She says, I witnessed them going into a portal. Now, when we talked about this on Sunday, I didn't have her name. And I just had the report, but I hadn't read it yet. I hadn't been able to go over it. And it's long, and I had to do some reading. But if you're not lazy, you can read. A lot of people are just lazy. That's why they don't know what's going on. If you just read, you might learn some things. It's a weird concept, isn't it? But and that's not for you paratroopers, but the people, that are out there with but this is what happened. So Ivana says, she says, this is weird. And her mother is Yetki and her dad was Mexican. So she's native and and she's got some Kickapoo too. Right? But she is from a long line of curandera. She's not a curandera herself. She's not into that. She's not faith healing, any of that. She's just psychic, and she believes that she was born into that bloodline. And she said, when I've dealt with these creatures, and she specifically said that these were malicious. What the message, the thing that she sent me, she called them malicious gremlin-like duendes. When we got into the conversation on Monday, when I was talking to her about it, I said, what do you think these things are? This is what she told me. She says, because duende can be a catch-all term, but so can gremlin. She said these things looked kind of like gremlins from the movie Gremlins, but they were fat. But not really fat in the way that like a person becomes fat because they eat too many sandwiches. I'm talking about how their body was kind of like that way, like they were built that way. And their legs were frog-like. They were atrophied. That's what made them look more like frogs, not just in the face. They looked like fathead gremlins. They didn't have real big bellies. They just looked kind of frog-like, but their legs were they would stand up and kind of crawl and then hop, and they looked weird. Reminds me of the Loveland frog. Anybody know that story? And if you don't, we're not going to get into a big old thing. But there's people in Ohio who have seen these creatures near the Ohio River. It's really crazy. There's all kinds of stories of these beings. So get this. In that area, that ranch, there was a cold water spring that actually popped up out of the ground, and it was the size of a kiddie pool, about the size. If you take a little kiddie pool, you send it out, the circumference of it, right? And it was probably from one of the many lake and creeks and that because whenever it floods and rains and hurricanes hit Corpus every now and then, and even if it doesn't just smack right into it, like in 2017, it smacked the hell out of Corpus and Port Aransas, Mustang Island, and Padre Island. It got hit pretty hard. But tons of water, like feet and feet and feet of water, will move inland. And I think it feeds this spring that comes up as pure fresh water. But there is something else down there because they've never found the bottom of that particular spring. But it's not very, very wide. And you can go and walk around in it, and there's like a floor to it, almost like it was man-made, but it's not. It's a spring. But when you walk around in it, according to Stephanie, she's another one. That's one of the cousins. She's the one that brought Ivana. I talked to them too. She says, you can walk around in that. I said, yeah, Tara told me that. And Tara told me that when you walk around in this, there is like a shelf. A shelf, what she said. We were young. She goes, I would go and I would sit in that cold water. It was nice in the summertime. And she said that my parents were always afraid that I might get sucked down into it. And I'm like, how? She's like, it's only like, the size of a large pizza, the hole right there. And it's kind of jaggedy, so you could cut your feet if you're not careful. But there's like it's like a weird, I don't know if you call it like a grotto. That's the term around it. But there's like this weird, rocky whatever. And you could kind of sit down in there and sit down in it almost like a natural hot tub. She's like, if you didn't know any better, this is Stephanie. She says, if you didn't know any better, you would think that it was carved out of there by some kind of ancient civilization. I thought that was interesting. But the hole there, the pizza hole, right? The size of a pizza, right? You're not really going to slip down into that because unless you're just a little child, like a small child, that would be very dangerous. If it's a small child, yeah, that child could fall down into that like a toddler, right? But she said that we were, diligent. My dad built a little fence or, whatever, so the grandkids couldn't go out there and get into it and whatever. And she said that we just kind of ignored it, but until the day came when Stephanie said that Ivana saw something come out of that spring. Stephanie didn't see it. She was with her, right? Because she's not psychic. That's just what she assumed. She's like, having not told this person that she worked with, she did not tell her what was on that ranch. She took her out there to the property and she said, "Hey, can you tell me what's going on with this 12 acres out here? It's not a huge place, but it's not tiny, But she's like, yeah." She goes out there before they pull up onto the property. She starts feeling chest pains. She's like, "Oh, my heart." She's like, is that normal?" She's like, "It's happened only 2 other times, and both times it was something malevolent that was trying to stop me from going onto the property." She said it happened in Port Isabel, down in South Texas, and in Austin. Great. I don't know. I asked her about the Austin place, and she says, "I can't divulge the location because the people want to be private." But let's put it this way, it's an old neighborhood near downtown. And it was an old house, a Victorian style house. It's being used as a commercial building, whatever. It's very old. Don't tell anyone because the next war they'll go bomb them. I'm joking. They'll be like, "Oh man, that's an old building. Let's get rid of it."
It's got to go. It's out of my hands. Sorry.
They're like, "Oh, it's only 150 years old." Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was back before, Okay, get rid of it.
We'll be back in another 100 years.
We'll give you another 100. Then we'll come and we'll blow it to hell. All right? ISIS is going to come and they're going to blow it.
Yeah. As long as there's only Christians or Muslims there, though.
Yeah. So here's what happens. They go to this place, to this ranch and she goes to the spot where she sees this thing come up out of the water. When this creature leaves that spot, it goes toward the barn. She follows it. She knows that she's the only one that can see it because Stephanie, and then there was a guy that was with them too. That is that was her ex-boyfriend, but at the time it was her boyfriend. He started getting kind of weird. He wanted to, there was this little sidelight here. He wanted to get her to go to these different places and charge people. Like there was a nightclub, let's go and you can read people and do all. And she's like, "No, I'm not doing that." He wanted to make money off of her. Okay. So he was, kind of trying to grift, and then she got rid of him. She was like, "Look, I can't deal with this guy." But he was there and he wanted to follow her. And she says, "You can't follow. Your energy's unbalanced." And he got really angry. When they started arguing in front of Stephanie, this is when she said they hear these loud banging, and it was in threes. Right there in the barn. She says, "You need to go." She's like, "I can't sit here and argue with you." He was a very argumentative guy. And he like I said, he was into wanting to make money off of her and her ability, which she said she had since birth. She doesn't believe in that. She doesn't believe in making money off of it. Good for her. She goes into the barn and she sees this thing run out, like there's an open door right there, and it just runs through that open door. Here's where I asked her a question that a lot of people may not ask. And I said, "Let me ask you this question, Ivana." I said, "Why did that creature," and I already kind of know the answer, but I wanted to hear her. I said, "Why did that creature run through the open door? If it's an interdimensional creature, can't it just go through the wall?" And she says, "Okay." She's like, "And I get the feeling," this is what she said, her words. She goes, "I get the feeling that you already know the answer to this." I said, "I think I do, but I want to hear what you have to say about it." And what she said was, "Well, less resistance." What does that mean? Now, if you're dealing with a creature that can be in between physical and metaphysical, Let's just call it a metaphysical being, right? There is third, fourth, and fifth densities, right? What do you think the third density is? It's us, right? The fourth density would be the fourth dimension or whatever you want to call it. They have different names for it. It is the in-between state where these beings dwell. In particular, Bigfoot, Dogman, all these other creatures that are coming, they have this metaphysical way about them. They are physical in the third, sort of in between in the fourth, and then in the fifth, they are completely spiritual. My personal opinion, I don't think they go much beyond the fifth unless they are something that is purely spiritual that can move, that doesn't really go the other direction. And what I mean by that is like the Dogman, the Bigfoot, all of that stuff, they don't go beyond the fifth density because their true nature is really metaphysical. And what I mean by that is the angelic and human DNA mixture, right? So that's my opinion. When she said that this creature ran through the open door, all the more reason to not leave windows open, doors open, or whatever. If your property is a problem, why let them in the house? Because there has to be some kind of resistance. And have you ever heard of this? Whenever people will do a cleanse, they'll open all the windows so these beings can leave. And you're like, well, if they're spirits, can't they just get out? Not necessarily.
You want to make it easier for them to get out.
Yeah. Because if they're manifesting into the physical from the spiritual, they can have some. I said this before on the show, and I'll say it again. That if you get touched by one of these or you touch them and you feel a physical, sometimes it will feel like a what?
Like a sponge, like a nerve
Like a
ball.
sponge.
Mhm.
I've had people tell me that they've bit these things before. Like they grabbed it and literally bit them. Like just this one woman, she got so angry, she bit one of these things. And she said it was like chewing on a Nerf football. She's like, I've never chewed on one, but I imagine that's what it would be like. Sounds weird. It sounds like total bullcrap. But no, this is what I'm telling you. And if you don't believe me, don't believe me. I don't care. When she was talking to me, she picked up on that I had a lot of anxiety and that I had nervous energy, but I'm a good person. I said, I don't think I'm a bad person yet, and I am going through a lot right now. And she said, well, listen to what I'm going to tell you. She said, it gets worse before it gets better. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm hoping that it's not really bad. But I guess I'm going to be okay, but there's going to be a lot of turmoil. Anyways, I didn't ask for a reading. And so I said, look, I don't, whatever if you believe that's what you believe, whatever. But she told me that these beings, they move in and out of our reality and they can manifest as physical. That's why, if you remember the episode on Sunday, the mother got hit in the stomach so hard by a broom handle that it ruptured one of her intestines. She ended up in the hospital. And it wasn't no short stay either. She was there for like several days, like 5 or 6 days, something like that. And when you stop and you start looking at this, how these entities can hurt you, here's another one. Her dad, Tara's dad, one of the people, Diane and Tara's dad, he's walking through the hallway and something punches him in the face. And not like he gets shoved or, whatever. No, it felt like a fist actually just punched him in his face so hard he felt like he was going to go unconscious, and everything was like a blur and he couldn't focus, and he honestly thought he got hit by a grown man. His first reaction was it was his older daughter's boyfriend. Maybe this guy's just lost his mind. And he looks and he doesn't see anything. He's like, he couldn't hear good. His hearing and his eyesight went out for a second. Everything kind of went, and he almost went unconscious. He almost got knocked out. He sees a dark shadow run toward the closet. This is the kind of stuff that was going on in this house. Another incident involving Tara herself. She's walking out of the bathroom and something yanked her by the back of her hair and yanked her so bad it whiplashed her neck. She spent months going to a chiropractor and to a doctor and getting adjustments and everything else because this creature, whatever it was, just say creature, I don't know what it was, it did it, but we can assume with a level of activity that was there. And then there was another element. You remember her mother went to a curandera and had her dad go and drink a snake
Concoction.
smoothie
Mhm.
with mushrooms. And I stand by what I say. Something's wrong with this woman who told her that. Probably just wanted to see what kind of concoction she could get him to drink. Let's throw some mushrooms in there,
Yeah.
some dirt, some elderberry. Take a drink of that. Well, let's see. She's like, yeah, watching him. Oh, he drank it. Oh,
I call this one the Hawk Tua.
the hawk too. Yeah, this because why? Because like we talked about on the last episode, yeah, psychedelic smoothie. Anyone? Yeah, exactly, Amy. You know why not? Because a curandera is just a person who's one insult away from being a bruja. That's why. My opinion, maybe not a popular one. I don't really care. I believe that that's probably what this is. But I'm going to tell you something. When that thing went through the door in the barn, right? She says, I followed it. She goes, and I go to the door and I look and I'm looking and she goes, and I see this thing go this way and disappear. She goes, and then I walked out a few feet and I looked and she saw a portal closing, a green portal closing. She said that right there told me. She's like, and then this thing, it came out of that water. So what they did, they had a priest that was a friend, an old friend of the guy that was the head of the house. I'm not going to say his name, but he was the head of the house. And he says, hey, I'm going to call my friend who I went to school with, who's now a priest. And so he came out there and he did a blessing on that water. For 3 days afterwards, he had a headache around the front temporal lobe of his head. And his eyes swelled up, and he was so bad. I saw a picture. They showed me a picture of the guy. I looked it up, and they was like, hey, just go here and you can. His eyes were swollen. And something came into his bedroom. He was living on the property of a Catholic church. A lot of times the priests will live there, right? They'll give him a little house,
Yeah.
a modest place, whatever. And so thank you for that donation, Matt Axman. We appreciate any and all help we can get right now. But this guy, he was living on the property and he doesn't hear anybody come in. He wakes up and guess what? It's like 3:15 in the morning. Why is it always 3 something? That's a weird thing, right? But it is in his bedroom, breathing. He sits up and he sees this thing in the corner of the room and it's moving. It's a black dog, a huge black dog with red eyes. And you know what it said to him? It talked to him in Latin with its mouth. It didn't do no mind speak or whatever. It warned him. It warned him. And I wanted to try to say the Latin, but I don't want to mess it up or whatever. But it basically translated to no more interference from you, Mr. Priest. Do not return to that property. Right? And then it backed up and became smoke. This priest literally told them, they said, he goes, you have something. He called his friend the next day. He says, this thing appeared in my room. And I rebuked it, said the rosary. He goes, I splashed holy water. And he goes, and when I did, I heard a hissing noise outside the window. This is on the 2nd floor. He said, this thing got in my house. I don't know. And he goes, and I had to do a lot of praying and a lot of cleansing. It's very powerful to come into my house like that, the house of a priest. So this guy was afraid for his friend. He said, you need to get out of the property. It's not a good place, not a good thing. And that black dog appeared again. When Stephanie and her friend Ivana went around the house, Ivana went around and she called out the spirits of the property. She asked for, this is her, right? This isn't the priest. The priest does something totally different. He blesses that water, right? Nothing's going to come up out of it again, right? And nothing did, actually. That's a good thing that they know of. But this is what Ivana did. And I'm not saying I agree with this because I'm not into this. I don't talk to these spirits like that and go, hey, let's come out and talk. Nope. I don't want to talk to you. You got nothing to say to you. Be gone. That's all I got to do. I'm just like the priest. Get out of here. But this is what happened. She goes around the property and she asks, she says, I need any and all spirits to show themselves, to appear to me. This is on the grounds. She saw a horde of these little mini looking creatures, demonic little elf-like creatures with brown skin, duendes, appear and come out holding like different pieces of metal and like just sharp objects, like little spears. It looked like, almost comical the way that they looked. But she said they were nasty, mean little things, and there was a horde of them. I said, how many did you see? And that one clump, she goes, probably 50, 60. She's like, they're like grapes. Thank you for that donation, Joe. We appreciate it. So whenever these things appear the way that they do, she says they bring this dark energy. You can see this just darkness around them. She's like, and then on the other side of the property, she goes, I walked toward where there was another gathering, and there were these demonic gremlin frog-like things that were bigger than these other little dudes. And she goes, and I got the feeling that the little bitty ones were actually native to this land, but these frog ones were there for something else. And they weren't at war with each other. They were just kind of like, you stay on your side, I stay on mine. But she gets the feeling that someone somewhere invited these gremlins there, or they showed up because of the energy that was there. She said they were totally and completely malevolent. She said the little bitty ones, the brownies, if you will, the little duendes, right? They were evil by their very nature. They were just elementally made to be a negative thing. She said, but these other ones were, they weren't like the duendes aren't going to leave that area and go hunt you down to find you, whatever. They're there. That's their place. That's like, this is my spot, like a germ, right? This is where I live. Don't come here. Leave me alone. And if you do, and you piss me off, which is really easy to do, then we're going to do something bad to you. Mean, warlike little beings. But she said those gremlins, though, these things are coming in and out of portals, and they're coming from somewhere else, far away. And she said one of them came out and spoke to her mentally, right? This thing told her, it says, we were brought here a long time ago. She says, on this property, he says, no. We came with our benefactor who brought us here to this plane of existence hundreds of thousands of years ago, right? This is what is being told her. We ended up here because we were invited here by a former tenant. We liked it and we decided to stay. She asked about their interaction with the other beings, and they said, we have a treaty with them. It's a legality.
A non-aggression treaty.
Yeah. They stay on there. They do what they do. We do what we do. What do you want here? We want energy. We want to exist. And to exist, we need energy. And what do you get it from? She says, from people like you. Just acknowledging their existence made them giddy. She could tell. But it gets weirder, right? Because Tara, her aunt, which would have been her dad's mother, or her mother's mother, or her mother's sister, sorry about that. Her mother's sister, she was a good person. She wasn't like her mother out running around doing what she did. We talked about her. She was a good person, God-fearing person, went to church, She was actually Baptist. But she came there to the ranch to stay for a couple of weeks and to help her dad when he got sick. She felt really guilty about her mother having left her. And she encountered these creatures herself. Now, having once been a Catholic, like my mom, and becoming a Baptist, like my mom, I thought that was pretty interesting. But she ended up becoming Pentecost. But at the time, she was in between. She wasn't going to church. She was kind of, in her words, backslid. Tara words. Now, I didn't talk to the aunt. But what she said was, She said one thing. She said, your friend, Alexis, that's the one that was trying to get her to tell her story to these ghost people and to ignore all this other stuff just to try to make a buck. She told her, she says, your friend Alexis is dark. She's practicing brujeria. Why do you say that? She says, because when I went to sleep, I saw her moving around the property and she was accompanied by these weird looking creatures. These creatures were not the same. They did not look like these other. You know what they looked like? Get this. Weird as hell. They looked like small grays. She says, ask your friend what she's into. She goes, this is when she was in high school. She goes and she says, she tells her friend at school, she's like, we were in English class. And she says, hey, you know, I have a question for you. Were you at my house last night? And she goes, you know, I had a dream that I was pulled out of my bedroom window by these weird looking gray creatures. And we were walking around your house. What? Then she's like, why were you walking around my house in a dream? Is there some kind of reason, whatever? And I asked her that point blank. I said, why did you ask her that? She says, because I knew she was lying. Because she says, I just told you I had a dream. No. Because shortly after that, Tara had an alien abduction scenario. You remember on the last time when we were talking about this on Sunday, and I said that sometimes the Fae and the alien, they are one and the same? Yeah. You remember that? What the hell was this? Back when I first was doing this, back in the early days, like in 2017, 18, 19, I didn't realize all the things that I know now. And I had a couple people give me stories that sounded like this. And you know what I did with them? And y'all two know. We did nothing with them because we're like, what is that? So we just left them there. We didn't do anything with them. Why was that? Do y'all remember what we talked about? Because I'll tell you, the reason that we didn't do that was because we didn't think anybody would believe it. Y'all remember those conversations? There were multiple stories we got that we didn't cover. One of those was the devil monkeys from the LBL. Then there was another one that we recorded with a guy, and he had a bunch of different stuff. And I was like, and I'll say his name on here. His name is Alfred Santoriga.
Yeah, because we had a miscellaneous file, a folder that we would put those things in, and like it was stuff that didn't fit into any other category, and we were like, "This is, we'll just put this on the shelf for now because we don't know how to approach this, and we don't know if anyone's going to even believe this. We're just starting out on this. It'd be too much up front, you know."
Yeah, and even during some of the shows that we would do, we would emphasize heavily that, like, oh, this is the story that we were told. This isn't, you know, we don't know if this is true or not, but this is the story we were told, and we're telling you guys it because, like, at the same, we didn't know whether to, you know, how to make what to do with it, and we didn't want people to think that, you know, we were just coming up here telling fake stories or making stuff up, because that's not the case at all. This is stuff that we were told, and even though it's very bizarre and it's very like, oh, what the heck is this? We still felt like we had to get this kind of stuff out. And I think that's what made us very unique, is that we were willing to do that.
One of the people I have to give some credit to, going back, and I thank you for clarifying that, boys. Do you remember Brenton Solwyn?
Mm-hmm.
Before he passed, we were working on a collaboration, me and Brenton. And I'm going to say this too, and this may be sticking my neck out there again, but I still think that there's something intelligent that has been behind this. Because we were going to collaborate with Scott Martis, who was turning the corner about his sea monsters theories. He was going to come on the show. I'm telling you the truth, and tell people that he thought that some of this stuff was not physical, and that these things had some sort of supernatural element to them. These ocean dwelling creatures. He was onto something. He was calling me late at night, telling me, dude, we got something here. I got to tell you the stories. And then he died. Brenton Solwyn got sick. God rest his soul. Rest in peace, Brenton. Brenton Solwyn was onto something too. And I'm going to say something else. There's other people who I don't talk to anymore because of that stupid war that we're onto something too. And I wish that that never would have happened because it destroyed connections that we had made in this community. I think it was done on purpose. I think people were used as patsies, and they are trying to termite and destroy what we have built here. But Brenton, your work is not forgotten. And I will say this. We talked about this. He saw this creature that he always thought looked like, a Darrow. And I always told him, I said the Shaver mysteries were interesting. I think that they started kind of mixing a little fact with fiction. But I think that what he saw, that was a real thing. It was an inner earth being. These creatures, yeah, there are layers upon layers upon layers of these creatures. I mean layers, not layers, but they also have layers underground, Lairs, and then layers, Layers, both. And one of the things that we had talked about, me and him, was that these creatures, what if, and we were spitballing, hypothesizing here, what if, and then and Armando too, Armando was another one, he passed away. And if only I had known at that time the things that I know now, in particular, how these things, what the nature of reality, if I could have just understood it in this linear time that we're trapped in, I think I could have unraveled some things. I think if he would have stayed alive, if Scott Martis would have stayed alive, if Armando would have stayed alive, I think a lot of things would have happened, because Armando, for about a year after he left, he was still out there talking to people and getting information and stuff. He just didn't want to be in the public eye anymore and be attacked, because he's like, we're going to be attacked. And it freaked him out. We all got attacked. And after that first war, he just didn't have the stomach for it. He goes, I went to war, because he was in Iraq, He says, I don't want to go to war again. This is bad. These people, all they want to do is fight. It's demonic. That's his words. Y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is probably true. But I got to do what I got to do, because I'm hard-headed and I did not want to stop. And I'm still here, still getting attacked, like the old buildings that they want to get rid of, because they hold secrets, they hold information. And so as my world is attacked viciously, you see me for a few hours a week, you don't really know what I go through. You don't realize what I'm going through. I'm going through hell. I'm walking through a hell on earth at this time, constantly with the threats and the bullcrap and all the naysayers and the nasty things that are said about us, unwarranted, most of it. Some of it because I smart off and I tell people what I think, and I still do that. But would you rather me be some wimpy little guy up here that has no? Because if I was any softer than I am now, I would be destroyed. I promise you wouldn't have the stomach for this. I would have to go, and I would have to go away. And I almost did. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not soft. I'm hard. I believe that. I know I am. Hard as 3-inch corrugated steel. I don't give a shit. You're not going to stop me. You're not going to make me bend and believe in the nonsense that they're throwing out there. I'm not going to buy it. They just want that so bad. If you would just go mainstream, stop putting pieces together and just tell your stories. I've had people tell me this. I don't know who they are. But who are you? Why are you telling me this? Who do you work for? You work for somebody to be trying to proselytize to me. Well, I'm just a concerned citizen who wants to help you. Just tell the stories. Don't go into all these explanations, and don't try to take it too far out into the deep water, because you lose people that way. Most of the people are going to just check out of your channel. You're not going to make any money. You're not going to do this. You're going to do that. Well, if I did that, and that's me selling out. And then you gain all these followers, and they're just hollow numbers, right? You don't get that hardcore people who are trying, they're intuitive, they're inquisitive, they want to know, they want to understand, and they want to learn, and then they want to help. The paratroopers are a threat. They're scared. They're afraid. They don't like what we got going on here. This is a cult. This is the easiest cult I've ever been in. You can show up or not show up. You can donate if you want. You can go away for as long as you want and come back whenever you want and listen, and not nobody's telling you to do anything. They say these things because you can't go onto my page and talk a bunch of smack and get away with it. You can't attack me and just get away with it because others are going to join in because we agree. And I'm not attacking anybody in particular. There's a sweet woman who's been with us for a long time, and she thought when I made a post the other day I was talking about her. No, I'm not. There are a lot of people. She's not one of the ignorant ones. I'm talking about people who are willfully ignorant, who bombard me with bullcrap in my inbox and say the most ridiculous shit. And I'm like, dude, I don't have time for this crap. You're never going to convince me. When you've read all that I have, you've been through all that I have, and you've talked to all the people I have, then you can come to me and comment. There are a ton of people that I've corresponded with. A ton. Once you've done all that, then you can say what you say. The question, though, is in this case here, right? What was this young girl doing on her property? Why did she see her in her dream? And why was she accompanied by two gray alien-looking creatures, the little ones, right? What was she doing walking around? And I asked Tara, I said, who is this girl? She's like, she's a little bit Wednesday Addams looking, like she's weird, right? But I didn't think she was into devil worship, I didn't know that. I said, but your aunt did. She's like, to be fair, my aunt thinks a lot of people are doing a lot of things. I'm like, she's probably right. Because where one of these people come, others join in. Whether they're in it together or whatever, and they do what they do. Like attracts like, right? Dimensional Walker says, I'm in a cult. As a Jew, I've been accused of world domination.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if it's like white privilege, like should be rich for existing. Sheesh. Yeah, but you're Messianic, brother. You're one of the truly oppressed. The Messianic Jewish people are very oppressed. You're actually supposed to be killed by your fellow Jews because you're an apostate. You believe in Christ, and you're an idolater to them. And to Islam, they have the jihad on all of us. So, what does that mean? Well, we just want you to be less alive, brother.
Just maybe a little bit less.
Just a little less breathy.
Little bit less of a head on your shoulder, maybe. Just a little bit.
You might look better if head is on floor.
And maybe take a Kirby sword, take head off a little bit. You'll be okay. Brother, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, okay? You have head. You bow down on the prayer rug. Your face to Mecca. You'll be fine, okay? Everything be okay. You don't need the Jesus. All you need is the Kaaba, the black cube, and the Mecca. That's all you need, okay? You'll be fine.
And we hate the Jewish people because they wear the cube on their head. What the Mecca you have the right to wear his on their head? Only for running around. And the Jews are like, hey, we're wearing it on the head. Why are you running around it? Hey, wear it on your head. You're both wrong. That's just my jokes. I'm joking, right? But it's true. And then for that, they must die. You are an apostate. We must kill you. We must kill you. We got to blow these guys back to the Stone Age. They're wearing it not correct. They're not wearing it correct. They're dancing around it. That's a problem. But at least they're not Christians. The broom. Right? That sweeps.
That's the one saving grace for these people.
It's the only saving grace for the Oive. And they're like, I blow you. I blow you hard. I got a really mean message from somebody the other day. Says, you need to be careful. I looked at the name. And I'm like, where are you from? The UK? Yes. And I said, I could tell. Right?
Londonistan.
Yeah. When your name is Alamani Kadani, I know that you are from the UK.
It's the most English name I've ever heard.
You don't like me saying your name? Too bad. Don't send me threatening messages. I need to be careful. Why do I need to be careful? Am I Solomon Rushdie? What did I say? Did I say that the prophet was satanic? I mean, I don't really care what you do. Right. And I tried this with the Quran and the prayer rug. I let my cats walk. They did. They walked all over it. What the hell? They are apostates, my cats. But I gave them a stern talking to. I said, and then they said, oh, okay. And then they walked off. Little did I know that I had quoted half of the Quran in that. And then I wake up and my cat's got the knife to my dog's throat. He goes, don't take another step. Don't take another step. I was like, Martis, calm down. He's like, you brought the pig into this house. He got the little, he got the hat with the. He's wearing bed sheets. What are you doing? Stop.
Getting hair all over those.
I'm sorry, folks. I shouldn't talk like that. And honestly, though, I don't care. I don't really give a shit. Report me to the YouTube Sharia law, whatever. Here's my thing. Why are these creatures doing this? Why are they abducting? What are they doing? What is their end game? I think I have some answers to that. It's in my new book, Dianetics.
For just $49.95, you can buy the first chapter of Dianetics.
For most of your life savings.
Yeah.
And if you're elderly, your medication.
Yes.
We will let you in on some secrets. It's Lord Xenu. I just skipped to the end. You know what? I've always been kind of a dessert first guy. Go ahead, do what you got to do.
If you have a bottle of lemon Quaaludes, you can skip right to level 2. They don't make those anymore, and I used to really enjoy them back in the day.
Those are quite.
Order now, you'll get it half off for just an arm.
Bring all the lemons you've got, and we'll introduce you personally to Lord Xenu.
Oh boy, yeah, and you know what? Look, Cedar Lake says Lord Xenu and Joseph Smith, and for a small nominal fee, Joseph might show up too, with the golden tablets, and they can, and you know what? His descendants can track all of yours. It's amazing what they can do. I don't, who cares? Whatever, dude, But, when she told me about this girl, I said, what do you know about her? She goes, well, now I know a lot, but at the time I didn't know that. But then I found out from her ex-boyfriend who spilled the beans. She took him to a seance in San Antonio. After the seance was over, they went to a straight up satanic ritual. Okay. Talk about your entry-level drugs. She's like, the boyfriend, literally, his name is Bobby. He came back and was like, this woman's, she's, seniors in high school, she's up. We drove to San Antonio to go to this seance. And then she's like, we're going to go to this after party, which was just a satanic ritual. That's all it was. And she was all clapping and into it and stuff too. And did other things that he was just appalled by and shocked me. It's like, what in the hell? Who am I dating here? And then she denies it at school. Like, I didn't do that. Yeah, you did. Because this guy was like, what? He was wanting to break up with you. He could have just broke up with her. And she goes, she had me believing that he was lying about all of this until she's like, I went with her down to South Texas, to McAllen, to another one of these seances. And there again, there was an after party. Now, it wasn't a satanic ritual, but there was a lot of satanic symbolism, and she was really into it. And this was when we had just gotten out of high school. She goes, and I realized this girl was into this crap. On the way back, she's like driving with her other friend. Their other friend's asleep in the back seat. She's like, I'm looking out the window. I didn't want to look at this girl. And she says, and she tells me, she's like, don't tell me that you're all freaked out and judgy about it. And she's like, I'm just not into Satan. I'm not into that.
Not a fan.
She starts telling her, well, it's really like do what, they always do that. It's do what thou wilt. You really worship yourself and all this other groovy shit, right? And she's like, well, I'm just not into it. I'm not comfortable with that and the orgies and all that stuff. I'm not really into that. And she's like, well, that's just for fun, blah, blah, blah. Because I'm going to do what I will, I'm a liberated person, blah, 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 I'm almost 19, for goodness sakes. I need to be able to do what I'm going to do,
I'm basically almost dead.
Yeah. You only live once. And she's telling her all these cliches and all these things. And she says, and I says, can I ask you a question? She's like, were you involved in any way in what happened with me in my house? And this girl says, oh, really? You're going to accused. She said, the house was haunted already. She goes, yeah, and you loved it. You loved coming around and communing with the spirits and, you know, getting a little too comfy with the demons, if you will. She says, I can't help it if I have a gift. No, I'm going to say this. People who have a gift don't have to go and do rituals and all this other crap. It just is a natural thing. They don't have to go and open portals and do ceremonies and find vortexes and fairy mounds and blah, blah, blah. They don't have to go and make or find witches' circles. They don't have to do any of that. You can do it with your mind, the power of will, like our ancestors did. You're either born with it or you're not. And if you're born with it, you have it, and you don't have to go and hurt people to do it. If you don't have it and it's not something that's done, don't seek it out, because you will find it. But then don't lie about it and say, oh, yeah, it's just a natural gift. I was able to do this on my own. No, because you have like 20 books on witchcraft. And she tells her friend, she's like, we were just getting into the city limits of Corpus. And she's like, and finally I told her straight up, I said, just drop me off right over here. I'll have my aunt pick me up. What? Are we still friends? She goes, I don't know. I don't know, Lexus. She goes, I know this. She's like, you are satanic. She's like, well, why would you say that? Just because I went to this? Oh, because Bobby said, oh, because he said, she said, and I just witnessed it. That was a satanic ritual. That was basically sex magic. She goes, and why would you think that I would be? She goes, because one time when I was in your room, your mom let me in and I went into your room and I was nosy. She goes, but I found over 20 books on magic, blood magic, sex magic, every type of magic, every kind of whatever. And she goes, and on your computer, it was all over. She goes, and in your journal, you written down my name and a few other people's names. She's like, and I didn't get a close enough look because your mom came in there and I just stuck it under your bed. She's like, so what are you talking about? I thought you were my friend. And when I asked you point blank if you loved me and you were my friend, you said yes. She goes, I did love you. She's like, but I love power more than I love you. She's like, and if you must know, she's like, your house has a vortex right there. And she goes, and you're so stupid. Instead of like embracing it and learning from these entities who are extremely powerful and more potent than we are, she goes, you're a little dum-dum and you just like rebuke it and try to get rid of it and run around scared. She's like, I'd give anything to live where you are. And she's like, jaw on the floor. Yeah. I mean, that's that moment of realization where you realize your friends aren't just, she's not just a catty bitch. She's an evil witch and you need to get the hell away from her. So the other friend wakes up. She's all like sitting there listening to this argument and she's feeling really uncomfortable. She jumps out of the car with her. So she gets out of the car. Her name's Angela. And she's like, me and Angela, we called my aunt. My aunt comes and gets us. We went to this seafood place we like to go eat at. And my aunt was like, I told you. She's like, she's evil. A few days later, this little witch bitch decides, excuse my language, but she tries to go and try to attack her aunt. And her aunt gave her what for, because her aunt is fortified in Christ. She's like, what did you do? She asked her aunt. Aunt Tara told me about it. And I asked the aunt. She confirmed it. Her aunt didn't play around. She gave her something to be remembered by. And she says, look, I'm going to rebuke you in the name of Christ. I tie, bind, and rebuke you. Whatever you send to me, it comes back to you. This woman ended up going to the ER. She couldn't breathe and she was covered in hives. Then she starts running around telling everybody that someone put a curse on her. No, you cursed yourself. Going into people's domiciles while they're asleep, trying to do things that you shouldn't be doing, kind of reminds me of Orneus. We'll get into that on the Samuel Little case on Saturday, this coming Saturday, right? We'll talk about him and how he connects to Samuel Little, a man that they confirmed killed over 60 women. He admitted to killing 93, but they know that he killed over 100. Him and Andre Chikatilo, two of the most prolific serial killers on earth. Samuel Little. Go look him up. He was a black dude. Ugly dude. Very ugly dude. I'm very proud of how he could con women into bed with him, and then he would unalive them. hideous looking guy. And we talk about the roots and how he, what started, how he got into all that. But go check it out Saturday, 7 o'clock. It's very interesting. You'll be entertained, believe me. This woman, this girl who was just one of the agitators. Now, let's not get confused here because there was a lot going on here before she showed up and began meddling and causing problems. But she confirmed what everybody already knew. This was a demonic hellhole. She was just one of the buzzards flying around it. So she says, I had to start being, going and praying and just totally get rid of anything and everything. She's like, my aunt got rid of the welcome mats. That was important. These things don't just come in and out of your house and then you close them off. She's like, my aunt also had me put the rock salt, And that was another thing that Stephanie and Ivana had her do too. They were just like, hey, Stephanie was learning, from Ivana because she was mildly psychic, but she opened up more of that ability the more she used it. They claimed they were doing it for good. I didn't get a bad vibe from them. I don't know. But I told them, I said, you need to be real careful with that. Be careful who you make mad. They could blow you.
Yeah. They'll blow you all over the place.
Yeah. So this woman, she decides that she is going to mess with her some more. She didn't learn her lesson by going to going to the hospital. She tries to go to her property and burn down their barn. She gets caught leaving the property on the county road right outside the property with a gas can. Barn catches on fire. They put it out. Get this. She literally tells these people that an evil entity told her to do this and that she didn't want to do it but she wanted the spiritual attacks by her aunt to stop. Right? This is her friend, right? I need the spiritual attacks to stop. She's got these two witches. She called the psychics witches. And like you were saying, Anthony, how they always, whatever they're doing, they say somebody else is doing it.
They cry out in pain as they strike you.
Exactly. Thank you for that
mentality.
donation, Susie. We appreciate that.
They excel in it.
Yeah. So while they're accusing somebody of doing ill, then they're doing ill. When she gets caught, she starts crying, I'm really pretty. And, and they're just like, we don't care. You were trying to light something on fire. It's arson. She got charged with a felony. Somehow she wormed her way out of it. And she ends up going to a mental facility. And that cured her of her weirdness. About a year later, she calls her up and says, hey, you know what? I've been cured. I am done with all the satanic crap. I'm so sorry I did all these things. It wasn't me. It was like, what does it say? Somebody says, don't point an entire race with the brand. What are you talking about, Sailor?
I don't know. Was that? Hang on. Okay. She was responded to a deleted comment.
But anyways, we don't want trouble in the deal here. So anyways, what's weird is she gets arrested and then she doesn't get charged with what she should have been charged with. And then she gets out but her parents had money. So that's maybe part of it too. And I don't want to piss these people off because apparently they're prominent or whatever. So I'm just like, look, I don't know, but the truth is the truth, right? We got to say what we got to say. She ends up going to a facility and she's there for a few months and then she gets out and says, I've changed. I'm different. And I asked Tara, I said, what did you do? She goes, well, my sister Diane was like, you better not even talk to her again. Don't talk to her. So she didn't. She goes, I couldn't take that chance. She goes, we were best friends growing up. And I could not take a chance on this woman being evil and or not being evil or whatever it is she says she is. She's like, I'm not falling for it. She's like, she tells her, she's like, Alexis, you literally came to my property and tried to burn down our barn. And you know what she said, though? This is interesting. Alexis says, this is where I was abducted. And she's like, what are you talking about? She says, I went to your property one night, almost like I was in a trance. I woke up and there I was surrounded by these weird frog-like goblin creatures and these grays. She's like, and I ended up waking up on a table. She's like, these are not demons, they are aliens. Her friend, the psychic, Ivana, says they are not aliens, they are demons. And they are pretending to be aliens. But then her and Stephanie kind of had a split. There was a little bit of a schism there. And Stephanie says, thank you for that donation. We appreciate it. And Stephanie says, that's not true. I'm sorry, I got to disagree with Ivana. She's like, I spent way more time on the property. She goes, and these are water spirits that came up out of the ground. And they were masquerading as good things because some of the previous owners that they talked to, previous tenants, said that there were these good spirits that were floating around on the property and would help them find things. When Ivana did, now follow me what I'm going to tell you, when Ivana did the whole patrol of the property and she found these two different groups of spirits, that wasn't the only thing that was there. There were spirits. There were 6 human spirits on that property, and one of them had been unalived back in the 1890s and was buried on that property. To this day, I don't believe that they have dug it up or tried to, but it was a woman who was unalived by another woman who was jealous of her, and they were cousins. Stephanie believes, she really believes, she says, I was shown that in a past life, she goes, I was the unaliver. I was the person that did this. She goes, and I had to atone for this. And guess who the person she says was that she unalived? Take a guess.
Tara's friend.
Alexis.
Mm-hmm.
And Alexis happens to be involved in all of this weird crap. So Tara says, I don't want to talk to you. My sister doesn't want me to talk to you. And her sister, she said, my oldest sister had a lot of influence. And my middle sister was the one, though, that laid down the law. And she's like, and I looked up and they were a lot older than me. And I just was like, you know what? My sisters don't really think it's a good idea. She's like, you're going to spend your life listening to them. Eventually, she goes to meet her at a diner there in Corpus. And she takes her boyfriend. She says, I took my boyfriend, who's now her husband. She takes her boyfriend. They go. Well, I'm sorry. He's her boyfriend. He was her fiance at the time. And she's like, well, I want to talk in private. And he's like, too bad. He's just like, no, I'm here. I'm here to video the whole thing.
Takes the same Benedict Meadow and just like super glues it to her forehead. There you go. Oh, I thought you were changed. What? Oh, does it burn? My bad. I believed you. I thought you were a changed person. You gave all that up. I guess you lied. Well, that's super glued to your head, so you might want to figure that out.
No, just wear like a ring and punch it on his head. Like Rick James. Imprints it.
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
I don't know. I'm Saint Ben. But no, so what happens is she ends up like having to talk to this girl at this diner, and she tells her, she says, look, that's weird that it's not, it just disappeared.
Probably somewhere under
Might be under the hat somewhere.
No. There it is. There it is. Make me think about all this weird stuff. Now I'm like, maybe I better stick it on my head.
So we can be safe.
So she ends up meeting her and she tells her, she goes, look, I'm going to tell you what was told to me. Alexis stops her. Now, this is a really weird part of this encounter, this story. She says, before you do that, she goes, I already know what you're going to say. Tara's like, okay. She says, yes. And I've had these dreams. There was a past life that happened, and I was unalived when she was killed. She says, and it was your aunt that did it. right? And she goes, no. She goes, it was my cousin. And that's the story. She's like, she goes, well, what does your aunt think about this? And she says, my aunt agrees that that's probably what happened. She's like, this is literally like we all have these weird dreams. And this is another part of the story. I can't finish it all tonight, but what the heck? So then when this starts happening, here's my theory on this. And I'll say this, and then we'll take some questions or whatever. Dimensional Walker. Thank you for that. We appreciate that. So when this part of the story goes down, I'm listening and I'm going like, and so what did she say? She goes, we started to kind of argue about it. I said, my cousin, who's literally psychic, and her best friend is really psychic, and they both agree on this. They disagree on the alien, fae, whatever. But Alexis said something kind of important, and maybe she did turn the corner. Who knows? I just know you can't trust somebody who's done that kind of crap. Somebody who's literally maybe cursed you, maybe, and then try to burn your house, your barn down. I don't care what your motivation was. I don't care that you feel like you were buried over there or you had an abduction. You came to my property and tried to commit arson. There's other ways to deal with things besides putting blood curses on people.
And crime.
She's like, my horse literally died. Right? The problem was that the horse lived for like a couple of weeks, and then but the smoke inhalation, they believe, killed it, but they couldn't 100% because the horse didn't drop dead right then. But she goes, you killed my horse. And Alexis was like, well, she's like, technically, when I put the curse, I was putting a curse on one of your horses. And, it wasn't putting it on you. I wanted to hurt you, but not hurt you. I just wanted to hurt you with the animal.
Oh, that's it.
He asks her this, and she says, well, why did you do this to me? If you had a problem with, and you figured out that it was my aunt, which it was really Stephanie, which is actually, Stephanie is the aunt's daughter. Right, let's just say that. She said, why would you go after me? She goes, because you were the one that set me up. She's like, and the creek down the road, there's a creek right there, whatever. Sometimes it fills up, sometimes it doesn't. She's like, that's where you drowned. She's like, you are literally one of the spirits that was on that property. How is that even possible? Well, if you listen to the episodes with Sean, we talk about the fractal souls, right? It would make a lot of sense because one of the things, and I will say this with all sincerity, I believe that the ghost community has gotten this wrong. There can be people who have had past lives. I believe this. You don't have to believe this. If you don't want to believe it, I don't make you believe anything. Like I said, this is a pretty easy cult. This is the easiest cult you'll ever be in. And the cheapest. For $49.99, you too can have an opinion.
Per week.
Per week.
Yes.
Per episode.
Yeah.
Per day. Per
You only
minute.
get one opinion.
Per second.
You got to put that opinion with your donation.
Yes. But you know what I was watching? Just real quick here. I was watching this. Nelly was looking at it. And these people, I don't even remember the name of the channel. It wasn't this. It was some kind of something else. But what they were talking about, like they were like, if you want your comment pinned, give us a donation. I'm like, so in order to be heard on there, you got to give your donation. I'm thinking, we're not doing our cult right. If you want to be heard from now on, you need to put your donation on there, and you will be heard.
Yeah, we're not.
Otherwise,
grifting.
shut up.
We're not grifting properly, dude. We got to step our grift game up.
We are not good grifters.
Yeah, we suck at this whole grifting thing. We're sorry, guys. We'll get better at grifting you out of your money. We promise. We're going to strategize, and we're going to have a brainstorm session, and we'll get these grifting numbers up. All right, live up to our thievery grifter reputation.
As an aspiring cult, we want your money.
Yeah,
what Nathan says. We got in some retro causation karma debt loop thing. Yeah, that's exactly what that was my word. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Yes, that's what I was thinking, Nathan. We gotta do this. Uh, just let me know what day is Kool-Aid Day. Thank you, Allison. She's already ready. She's like, look, I got the Kool-Aid. What you want? Some grape? You know what? Green. We got St. Patty's Day coming up. St. Patrick.
Someone's looking for a promotion.
That's it. Got that lime going on. Remember St. Patrick's Day? What day is it? I think I looked it up. It's a day where we're on. So I got to wear green.
Day is
it's a Tuesday.
Yep.
Tuesday. So Tuesday on the Patreon, I'll be wearing me green. I'm a Celtics fan, so that's easy. I'll find something in my closet. But yeah, I think it's this. I think there's a problem here. And the problem I think that the ghost people don't understand is there's these alternate realities, these timelines. As Takayasha says, when one of the episodes we haven't released yet, but she talks about how these timelines are not, it's not, this is weird. It's in this cube that we live in, right? That's why we have this linear time. Time is not like that. And she actually talks about it and explains it, and it makes a lot of sense. And there are multiple people in this chat that are extremely intelligent, including Richard and Law Morgan, Amy Krill. Y'all already know this. This isn't like news to y'all. You're like, oh yeah, we're not cracking the code here. I'm not Max Planck over here. You know what I'm saying, though. You get it, right? I mean, it just makes sense. I've had this long, drawn-out conversation, and I reposted a little clip of him with Ron Moorhead. And Ron Moorhead and me had this conversation. He talks like this. He says, time isn't what you think it is. He talks. And it's not. And he gets all into the quantum reality and what is what. And people don't like to hear that, because then they're like, what am I living in then? Is this a Groundhog Day simulation or whatever? And we just have to make the best of it. Sometimes. What you have to remember, folks, there's all these different things happening all the time around you. The most important thing is Christ. And what you have to remember are his words. And what he says is that we are in the middle of a battlefield between light and dark. It is a war. And I'm not talking like, oh, there's a few grenades being tossed here and there. I'm talking like straight up full tilt. There is a mega intergalactic war that is being fought physically, spiritually, mentally, and it is a dogfight for good and evil. And those that call the evil good and the good evil, those are the real bad guys. They do these horrible things, and then they say, you made me do it. You did this. You did that. No. Why are you blowing up all the old buildings? Is there something you want to hide? What are these wars really about? And it adds a whole nother element. Remember, always remember this. This is very, very important. Whenever something happens, there's never one motive. Do you know what I mean? When someone gets taken out, they don't just kill you for one thing. They kill you for everything. There's no wasted movement with these people. Do you know why? Because the evil, believe it or not, it has sway here. But intergalactically, it is outnumbered. It really is. And they do that to themselves. They divide themselves. The one thing I hear about that, they say the devil don't divide his kingdom. The devil doesn't have a choice. The one devil may not do it, but there are multiple devils. And if you looked at the 72 Goetia, the Ars Goetia, there's 72, right? And they all have legions, and they're all fractals of themselves. Because not one of them anywhere is there written names of their legions. Why is that? We just couldn't figure out who they were. Because when you're dealing with Orneus or any of these other beings, Barbatos or whoever they are, get this. Their legions are all just fractals of themselves. That's why whenever there's, and somebody got really snarky with me, and I talk about it on the podcast coming up on Saturday on True Crime Paranormal. They got really snarky with me. You know what they said? They said, well, you said God is omnipotent. This is a woman who doesn't believe. She's an atheist, right? She's actually, I think she's a witch too, maybe by her attitude, right? But she says, well, this is at Christmas time too. I don't know why she even shows up, but she's whatever. She's trying to argue with me. You guys believe that God is omnipotent? I said, yes. So he can be everywhere at once, right? And I was just like, well, then how are these powerful overlord demons, they choose to go and inhabit one young girl in Brazil? And I started laughing. I was like, "Do you not realize how it works? You don't. You don't understand." I said one of these demons, which really those are the archons, they all have legions that follow them. She goes, "Well, how come whenever the priest says, say your name," and that's so important because Jesus says that you get them, you get their names, you can bypass them, their codes, right? Say their names. Why do they say their names? So you know who you're dealing with. But it's also to know what house that archon or demon is from, because those are house names. Do you know what that means? That means like Lannister, Stark, like it's a house name. Yeah.
It's a banner that they fly
It's a
under.
banner. Like, do you watch the Game of Thrones? One thing I noticed, you remember the Lannisters, how the Mountain and his brother, the Hound, if you ask them their house name, they're not going to say, like, they might say their last name, but what house do you fight for? They're going to say Lannister. Nobody cares that you're this person or that person or whatever. It's the house name. What house do you fight under? This is something that goes back to the feudal lords of Japan, even. What house are you fighting for? Tokugawa, Toyotomi,
Nobunaga.
Nobunaga, or, yeah, Oda,
Oda.
the Oda. Because the name, the last name was first, right?
Yeah.
It was Oda and then Nobunaga, which is really how it should be. That's weird, right? Or I'm, like you said, Anthony, on the video that's coming up, the McLeods or the McLeans or whatever.
Mhm. The clans.
McClans, because they're like, what house are you from? They don't care. Whose man are you? Like on Gangs of New York, whose man are you? He's trying to get that guy to tell him he's speaking Gaelic and dying.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, that didn't tell us very much. Because the guy's cursing him in Gaelic, saying his last prayer or whatever. The thing is, that is what you're dealing with these beings. You want to know who they are? They correspond to a certain number of archons. Doesn't matter who their legions are. We don't know their names, but they'll tell you the name of whoever it is they're doing this, for.
It's because, well, names have power, and
Mm-hmm.
their minor names mean nothing, but they draw power from doing stuff for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the name tells you. The name tells you whose will are you serving?
And when
Because
you
that's
get
what
that
matters.
name, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but when you get that name, then you know what they're all about. Why? What does Ornius do? He likes to strangulate. I think he's the one that got them all hemmed up because he was trying to hurt a child. Get this. In the Testament of Solomon, they have to testify, right? He questions them. It's very interesting reading. And Ornius he says, point blank, you know what he was called by Solomon? An annoying demon of vampirism. Look it up. He literally calls him an annoying vampiric demon, or a demon of vampirism. He says it on there. He calls him a vampire. He drains blood and he drains life force. And he can shapeshift. He's really like, he can be male or female. He's an incubus succubus. Then you know what you're dealing with. Like, why are you here? What is their predilection? What do they do? Because most people don't look into this and don't read this and don't learn this and don't know this because, well, I'm a Protestant. I don't know. I don't need to know all that. Or I'm a Catholic, or I'm Jewish, or I'm Arab, or I'm whatever your race is or religion or whatever. You feel like you don't need to know these things. But Jesus says knowledge is power and that we die for the lack of it. And so whenever these things attack, wouldn't you want to know what the hell is going on? Don't be taken in and enamored by these things. They are vile, gross, disgusting beings. And when you read about this, now that's why it's important to go watch True Crime Paranormal. I'm not plugging it. I'm telling you the truth. When you learn about Samuel Little, how did he get away with it? 35 years.
Yeah.
He flew under the radar. That's like the Green River Killer. He's another one. Long, decades long. And everybody was like, I just thought he was a normal guy. Dude, unbelievable. Because when they are a vessel for these beings, they use them as long as they can. And these people get their own thrill out of it because they're sick, they're twisted, they're warped. You see what I'm saying? These people don't even realize what they're being manipulated and used for. Their will no longer is theirs. And some of these people are so stupid, they're like, oh, I will never bow to the will of God. I want my free will. You are in servitude and you are in bondage to demons. What are you talking about? You're already in bondage. Christ bought you out, but you won't accept it. You won't accept it because, oh, no, man, I'm going to live my life the way you're not even living your life for yourself. You think you are. You're living your life for these demons, for these archons. So that's what's happening there. And I can tell you this, when this person told me, they said, well, you don't even know, how this works, whatever. They tried to tell me that I didn't know how it worked because these demons are apparently they're not omnipotent, so they can't do that. I said, why would one of those archons, the head archon's not going to go do that, but its legions will. That's why they say that we are legion, we're many. They can send 1,000 of them, of their legionnaires, to go and attack somebody and still have plenty to spare because a legion is upwards of 6,000 soldiers. And Ornius, the vampire demon that he is, he's considered a marquis of hell. Hell just being something that maybe we put on there, but hell is a place of torment. Now, people say they've never been anywhere near hell. They're not there for their judgment yet. They haven't been to the lake of fire where they will eventually end up. They can move in and out of hell realms because they are the tormentors. You see how that works? People don't understand that. They don't grasp that concept. They're not using the head there. Use your old head there. This is something that people don't like me talking about. I've been threatened for this. I'm like, why? What is it hurting you? Is it annoying your demons that are attached to you, that are on your spine? You ever looked at people in the eye and just looked at they're looking through you like it?
Mm-hmm.
And you could just see the demons are looking through those eyes. You can tell, you can see it. I'm not talking about angry. I have an angry face because I dislike demons. I don't like the people that harbor them. I'm talking about the people themselves, that they allow themselves to be lacquered and whatever. So when you sit there and you look at this person, you're like, hello, then they're like, they look over at you like, and then they focus on you with that glazed, fluoritic stare. What? Are you there? Or am I talking to, whoever? What house is in you? Because it's not the house of God, I can tell you that. Not to be harsh or cruel. I'm just being honest. And then they have those that enable them. We talk about that on True Crime too. The enablers. There was a woman that traveled with that guy, and she enabled his behavior. Even went to court with a Bible to help him get off of murder charges. It's crazy stuff. And somebody messaged me recently, why would you want to talk about such negative things? I was like, because this world is negative and full of it. And I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't bring it up and tell you what they are. People that do these things are real as real can be. And the demons that make them flourish are as real can be.
But they want to stay hidden.
Mm-hmm.
When you bring them out into the light, they get scared that they don't like that.
So check out, you guys, if you don't listen to the TCP, go check out True Crime Paranormal on Saturday and the Samuel Little case, the 2 episodes. It really explains some things about these people and how they are vessels. So this is what happened. Tara's friend is a vessel for this.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all dreaming and having these weird dreams and figuring it out that, oh, we lived before and you killed me and you did this, and you did that. Everybody's pointing the finger, right? But what really happened? What really went on? And what the hell are we dealing with? What is this? Sean Schlesinsky says, Wolf maybe do a big PRT shows, four big PRT shows a year, charge $20 per entry, and you can use your security company as well, and you can still focus on channels putting the light into dark. I don't know what we're going to do, Sean. I just know that I'm about to lose my butt financially, and I'm going to have to reconnoiter my life. If it means I got to cut time with Paranormal Roundtable, well, I got to do what I got to do. But I can't help but think that, you know, we're under spiritual attack. There's no doubt about it. I just haven't put all the pieces together, but I know that there's other players, and I'll figure it out. God's good, and he always wins. But here's the thing. You don't always win in the way that you want to win. You win in what's best for you. You don't always win in what you want. When you pray, you can ask God this. God, I pray in the name of Christ. I ask you to help me to get the things that I need and the things that I want, but only if it is your will. Always, you got to preface it with, it is your will. I come unto you in the name of Christ. May your will be done. Ask God to let his will be done. Because if you're asking something and you don't say that, I mean, it's like clapping with one hand. You have to succumb to the will of God. Or you will succumb to the will of the archons. Not a good thing. I've done both, believe me. You have two masters, you love the one and you hate the other. I've had two masters, and I hate Satan and I hate the principalities of this world. But there's no doubt about it. I served the dark side, doing the bad things I did back in the day. Yeah, it was fun. You're just, you know what? I'm just a fun-loving guy doing things. At least I admit it. And my enemies have used it against me. He's openly admitted it. Okay, Pharisee, Sadducee, douchebag. You're not admitting to your sin. You're just talking about me being a sinner because I admit it. Who hasn't? Where's your rock to throw since you were without sin? I don't talk ill and jump on somebody who's down on the luck. I understand what it's like. Believe me, I've lived in my car. What you have to do as a person is stop being so judgmental of everybody else and judge yourself. Now, if you got your mess together, then yeah, there are times when we do need to judge one another. I know that sounds crazy. But it doesn't mean that you can't pass judgment in your own mind on somebody who's doing something completely untoward and evil. That has to be dealt with. There has to be a reckoning. And if you don't do it, then who? Right? God. But God uses people to do his will, just as these archons do. Now, I'm not saying we should run out and burn witches at the stake. What I'm talking about is when you know that somebody is evil and they're doing evil, you have the right. If your house is in order, you have the right to say, hey, man, this is wrong what this person is doing. Now, I don't believe in vigilantism or any of that. There has to be, but the people that did the things with the E files, there needs to be a reckoning. There has to be justice. There has to be some accountability. And I'm sorry, but every administration, including the current one, is guilty. They're all at fault. And no one is holding these people accountable for what they did. That's when it's time to say, I don't think we should go round them up. And some people are advocating all this crazy stuff. No, they need to all be taken in and put on trial, a real trial, not some sort of little piddly bullshit where they did with Hillary and Bill. Hillary walking out of the courtroom looking like Mao Zedong. What the hell, lady? Chairman Mao, everyone.
And Bill was all bumping into her because the Kuru was kicking in.
He's over there pushing her in front of traffic. I don't blame him. I mean, but the thing is, I mean, when you look at these people, do you see a human being? I don't. I see a human mask. And we'll get into it again. When we talk on Sunday, we're going to get into it again. We're going to finish up with this because there's still meat on the bone. We have to go over and we have to talk about what was it that was going on with these women and what was going on with this property. I don't believe that they were the source of this. I think that they ended up there. Things always come full circle. But there was other things that were going on. Some things, you got to realize this, they're just part of the, when people see they have like a haunting in their house or something's going on, a lot of times they'll have interlopers that'll come in and they'll be like, oh, well, that thing shapeshifted. That's why it looks like that now. No, that's a whole nother entity. Do you know why it's there? Because it's attracted to the negative energy. It's there to feed. Think of it like this, like the Serengeti. You got the wild dogs. They're the most prolific killers on the plains. Did you know that? Their kill rate is way higher than lions. Yeah. Look it up, man. It's like 60, 70%, and lions are like 20%. It's crazy. But they'll make a kill. Like they'll say that they take down a zebra because there's a bunch of them. There's like 30 of them in a pack, right? They're not the only ones that are going to eat. The jackals are going to show up. The hyenas, the lions, the leopards, they're all going to show up, and the vultures.
Mhm.
So people will have a haunting and they'll be like, yeah, I saw all kinds of weird stuff going on there. Yeah, because it's probably a vortex. Or if it's not, you got stuff that just shows up through portals because they see a signature. Kind of like with Rostam and Gilgamesh. You see that signature, that beep, beep, beep. It's a beacon. They show up to eat. You're weak. You've been being attacked. One of the most telling videos I ever saw was two male walruses, right? They were fighting on a beach in Argentina, and they were just going to town on each other. They were just, yeah, they had the big tusks, and they were, and one of them starts like the one that's got his back to the beach. He starts to flee, and the one by the water, he's all like, yeah, but he's wounded and he's kind of moving a little bit slow. He's got his back to the water. Well, you know what happens? A killer whale, an orca that beats itself, comes up and grabs him and pulls him into the ocean. Literally killing him right there on the beach. Yeah, you won that battle, but the opportunistic hunter is right there waiting for you. Because while you're trying to win that fight and you're fighting on that beach, something else grabs you out of the abyss. That's how it works. You could be fighting with someone and there's someone that has nothing to do with it at all. I saw this downtown all the time. I watched two guys get into a fight. One of them had this friend with him and he's like, nobody jump in, nobody jump in. They started punching each other, right? One guy gets knocked down. Doesn't get knocked out, but he's laying on the ground. This isn't my business. And me and my friends are just standing there watching. And the other friend starts getting into it with the guy that had just got into the fight, whatever. Then they beat up each other. And the first guy that had knocked the other guy down, and the other guy was kind of getting up like, he gets knocked down because now he's all beat up. And then the other guy's sitting there holding his arm, and you could see his arm was messed up. While all this is going on, three other guys come walking by. You know what they do? They start going through those guys' pockets. And the third guy, who was the friend, I still remember this guy, like long, shaggy, dreadlock hair. He's like, hey, man, stop doing that, whatever. They beat him up, knock him out, and all three of them are beat up and getting kicked in the face, and all of their stuff is being boosted by these other three guys. Now, I got to finish that story. When we saw the valuables that they had, I was like, nobody do anything, right? Stop, guys. Don't do this. But my friends decided to assault those three guys and take all of their stuff and the other guy's stuff.
You confiscate.
We confiscated it to turn it into the local authority, the constabulary.
Lost and found.
We were going to turn it into the local constabulary. But we just thought it would be better to have, it's for safekeeping.
Holding it in
Right.
trust.
In fact, I'm still holding it for safekeeping right here. See, I'm just saying, that's what happens. Don't be a walrus. I'm just saying. Joking. That's not how I got this ring. I knocked that guy out fair and square at a park. Look, the point is, I used to be a bad guy. I did things. I did some things, right? So what? Right? I know that it wasn't correct. But that is true, though. After those guys started rummaging through those guys' pockets, they had a lot of cash and everything. There's people everywhere. It is true. And I didn't order this, but a couple of my friends did jump on those dudes. And they said, hey, don't be going through those guys' pockets. And they beat them up. And then they went through their pockets and took the stuff from the other guys, confiscating it for the constabulary. And eventually it was turned into the local authorities.
I mean, really.
I was told that that's what happened. And I just took it at face value because who am I? I'm not,
I'll tell you who you are. A hero. You stopped those thieves and dead in their
I
tracks.
didn't do it. My friends did.
Well, you're a part of the group.
They did stop the thieves and they did take the other guy's stuff. But the point is, they all woke up going like, what happened? Because you can fight each other all you want, but there's always opportunistic whatever around you. That's the point. Just like those two male walruses that are fighting on the beach and a killer whale comes up and grabs one. You weren't paying attention to that. Go look it up. There's literally videos of it. It's in Argentina on the beach. It's crazy.
The wolf stalks the rabbit while the hunter stalks the wolf.
And Sean says even Vader threw Palpatine. Right? Anyways, guys, I gotta go, man. And I'm not a thief. Honestly, I swear to you, I did not grab any of that stuff because I'm not a thief. I don't do that. But if someone attacked me, let's just hypothetically say that someone attacks me, don't be wearing a bunch of jewelry when you do it. Because, it's just called spoils of war. I mean, you shouldn't do it. But I don't do that at all anymore. I'm not that kind of guy. It's wrong. It's bad. You shouldn't do those things. But you shouldn't be fighting with each other in the middle of the street like a bunch of idiots either, because you're drunk and some girl that's already left with some other guy, whatever, and you're mad. Just the truth. Anyway, we'll continue this story. We'll get to the bottom of it. And I'll give you what I think happened and what's going on with this. Are demons aliens or are aliens demons? And how many layers were there to this place? So anyways, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being the part of PRT that makes it what it is. I mean, it's awesome that you guys are here. I like to see that. Brent says, thank you, Wolf. Thanks, PRT. We have fun here, right? And I hope you did. If you had fun here, tell me in the comments, hey, I had fun. It was a good time. Let me know that I'm doing something right. Tell me if I should just throw away my career, take a chance, and live in an RV down by the river and just live stream my life. I'm like, day 26. I don't think I'm alone. Bigfoot is here. He's hiding. He's invisible. Maybe I should. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in. We love you, and we got to go. I can't do the giveaways tonight, but I gotta run. But if you have any stories, send them to this PRT, Josh Turner, PRTpodcast.com. Somebody was asking me about that the other day. There it is. And we'll see you. Hold on. Before we go, are we going to go to
random files?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to go to there on here on YouTube or on Rumble?
Well, I don't know. Who would follow us to Random Files right now? Anybody? So far, we got one person. Dick Richard says, I guess so.
It's quite a few.
This is not booze. This is tea. Try to drink too much of it. It has naturally occurring fluoride. Did you know that? But I can't drink coffee because it's got too much caffeine. So I like to drink tea. And I'll drink it with decaf and then caffeinated mixed together. And then I use this. This is 1877. This is a really good mixture. And this one here comes from a place called HTO, and it's a Texas company. And this is blueberry, decaffeinated, and then it's got well, I thought it had Texas chai in it, but it doesn't. That's crazy. It's just blueberry. They didn't listen to what I told them. They encourage you to mix the teas together.
But then they don't do it.
And then they didn't do it. They just gave me the blueberry. They're like, you know what? Just give them the blueberry. I don't want this guy. With a weird big head. We don't care about this guy.
This guy doesn't need Texas chai.
Bunch of Zoomers in there. Oh, whatever, dude.
This Texas guy doesn't need Texas chai.
He doesn't need Texas chai. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we go deep, or should we just talk about the basics?
I mean, it depends on what people want, because like if we go to random files on YouTube, we'll probably have more people because it's easier to get to, but you can't say as much, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we go to random files on Rumble, you know, you can say pretty much whatever, but you're not gonna get nearly as many people here. Like the link to our Rumble Random Files channel is pinned at the top of the chat. So if we get enough people to just click that link and subscribe, maybe we'll go there. But I don't know. I mean, it just depends on where people want to go.
Let's go to the Rumble. I mean, let's go to Random Files on the Tube of You. And if it starts getting too heady, we'll just move over to Rumble.
Okay.
And I'll give you an hour. That's about all I can do. All right, let's go. We'll see you.
Seeking power over those that oppose me. Unspeakable crime, murder at midnight. A deal I made, a life I had to take. Someone I loved once held so tight. The screams will follow me. Cries of my ancestors said, go away. My operation, fasting in grain, shape shifting. I feel the animal high. Inspire me. From the ancestors crying. I feel the change. I feel the change coming. We are one but not the same. This form I desire, innocent blood I will devour. Ancestors gathering round the dwelling, the spirit inhabiting, evil enveloping, the dancing graves in the night, the spirit occupying and transforming, stolen heights, dark practices, my secret life, feathered outers, mysticism, intriguing, my operation, fasting in grain, shape shifting. I feel the animal high. Inspire me. From the ancestors crying. I feel the change. I feel the change coming. We are one but not the same. Give me the ability to hide in plain sight, so no one can see me, not even in the light. I am the crawler, I'm a within, I'm nobody's friend. This initiation is all part of the dark creation. My desires performing incantations. I walk in disguise. If I catch you, it's your demise. Shamanism, my religion, summoning spirits, manifesting myself and changing my flesh. A nightmare to behold.